Governor, welcome.
Thank you.
I call you governor because there's only one political honorific in this country that's higher than governor, and it ain't senator or secretary. So I'm delighted to have you here. Pipeline security. I count, we've got PHMSA at the Department of Transportation, we've got TSA at Homeland Security, we've got FERC, and we've got Department of Energy, all have a piece of pipeline. This is unacceptable. Do you agree with me that we have to rationalize the process of cybersecurity for pipelines so that there's one agency that's in charge, that there are regulations, that it's not voluntary? This is a part of our critical infrastructure.
It would be wise to do so.
Thank you. That's exactly what I hoped you would respond. I just want to emphasize, right now we're in a danger. I mean, the Colonial Pipeline was a wake-up call. We keep not waking up. And pipelines in New England, for example, 60% of our electricity comes from natural gas. All of the natural gas comes through pipelines. So as far as I'm concerned, gas pipelines are part of the grid. And the grid has a great deal of regulation and testing and cybersecurity. It's very, very weak in terms of the pipeline system. So I hope we can work together with CISR and other agencies to figure out where this should reside and to get on it promptly.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm encouraged at least by the fact that TSA is now requiring pipelines to notify us when there is an effort at penetration from a ransomware attack. But there are basic standards that have been developed by NIST at the Department of Commerce, which the electrical sector uses.
Exactly, and those standards should apply to pipelines, and pipelines should be pen tested, and they should be under the strictest structure. Nuclear waste, we've talked about, Senator Cortez Masto. I just want to emphasize that we do have to face that issue. Yeah. This is a broken promise by the federal government going back to the 50s, where we developed a commercial nuclear infrastructure in the country. The commitment was, we'll take care of the waste. It hasn't happened. In my state, in many states, we've got what amount to 100 high-level nuclear waste sites scattered around the country, including one in Maine. And so I urge you to take this seriously, because I want to support the development of nuclear power as a clean alternative, but I don't feel that I can morally if we're shipping the waste problem to our children.
Yeah, I get it. And that's why we're proceeding on it this year.
CISR, I mentioned. CESER.
CISR.
CISR, okay. Render under CISR. You've indicated you want to strengthen the agency, but I'm concerned about the leadership and that it's at the career level rather than a higher level political appointee. Is that something you could consider in terms of elevating the status and significance of that agency?
Yeah, and I appreciate you writing me the letter on that, and I know that I have recently responded. And here's what we're considering, and again, I want to work with you on it, but you know, since CISR was established, about half of its existence has been without leadership because it's been a political appointee. And the question is, this is an emergency operation, sort of akin to, you know, an emergency response entity that is non-political. It is not partisan. What we'd like to do is to strengthen CISR by elevating it to be a directorate position, but not subject to who's in and who's out, a professional group that is trusted. So the new person that we have appointed to be head of CISR, Push Kumar, I hope you get a chance to meet him. He's a total pro, has experience both in the utility side as well as inside of the federal government. And he is looking at all the ways that we can strengthen CISR within the Department of Energy. But I tell you, you know, we've worked really hard to try to fill the slots, because once you have a political leadership, sometimes people aren't sure about whether they're in, they're out.
I understand.
We want to make it a career profession.
Well, I just want to be sure that it gets the status that it needs and deserves.
Yes.
Final, very brief question. In your budget, you zero out the heating oil reserve. As the state with the highest level of heating oil usage in the nation, that's of course of grave concern. Are you planning to sell off the reserve, or does the reserve stay? You're not adding to it? What are the contingencies? Because we keep thinking things aren't going to happen, and then they happen. And my state would be,
Yeah, I
it would
get
be a
it.
catastrophe if something happened to the heating oil spill.
Yeah, I understand that, and I certainly, would want to make sure that we're prepared for something like that. I think initially, the thought was that that reserve has been in place for 20 years and it's never once been used. Then when the Colonial Pipeline thing happened, even though it wasn't used then, we said, okay, so we've got enough to be able to carry through the middle of 2022. Happy to work with you on making sure that it's solid after that.
Please do. Thank you. Thank you,
You bet.
Madam Secretary and Governor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Governor.